Doug MPA back on another video. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button on the way in. I'd really appreciate it. It shows that you support me and the content on this channel. A lot of you seem to like my Black Media Member Hates Deion Sanders series of videos. I did Jamel Hill, I did Bomani Jones, a couple of others. This is a continuation of that series. And I think people like those because it points out a larger issue in the Black community. I think that when one of us, like a Deion Sanders, gets a highly visible, important position of leadership, it's a win for all of us. And I think it deserves universal praise, but there are certain people that don't feel that way. Enter Carron Phillips. Now, my other videos say that this person hates Deion Sanders, and there's a little bit of gray area. I think if you read it, you can interpret it both ways. But this guy, look at the title of this article. It's Deion Sanders pimping of Jackson State and HBCU culture is finally over. This guy actually hates Deion Sanders. We're going to read this entire article, and I want you to hear the shaming language, the insults, and the genuine detest he has for Coach Deion Sanders. We're going to read this whole thing. And before I do that, we support Coach Prime over here. If Coach Prime wins, and it doesn't matter where he coaches at, we all win. And also, this is not a sports news channel. I'm a casual when it comes to sports news, but this is a channel where I think that there needs to be more Black male leadership, particularly Black males in positions of power, like being a coach of a Division I school. And this channel is about intersexual dynamics between men and women and empowering men. And the Deion Sanders saga has everything that you need to be able, that I would need to promote what I want to advocate for on this channel. So once again, let's get into this article by Mr. Carron Phillips. Now, this was published on December 4th, right after the news came. Once again, I don't know how I missed this, but this guy actually hates Coach Prime. Let's get into it. It says, what started with a lavish indoor pet rally during the height of the pandemic, putting the health of students and school employees at risk. I mean, come on, guys. This was Mississippi. Mississippi, Alabama, a lot of the southern states, they didn't give a dang about the pandemic. Ended with a cowardice move to dodge reporters as the head coach of a 12-0 football team that just won its second straight SWAC championship was able to sidestep his media obligations after a season in which he always had one foot out the door. Listen to the shaming language. And this is the first paragraph. Deion Sanders is done with historically Black colleges and universities. As Coach Prime, he has in quotations, has chosen to leave an undefeated Black school for a major payday at a predominantly white institution that has a football team that just went 1-11. He continues, Sanders is leaving JSU after 3 seasons for Colorado and is scheduled to take part in a press conference on Sunday in Boulder. He couldn't wait to get out of the state of Mississippi as he hopped on a plane Saturday night, headed to Colorado after breaking the news to his team. For all the debates and conversations about if Sanders' time at JSU was a positive or negative experience for HBCUs, what can't be denied is a feeling that there was so much left to be done. However, that was never really feasible for a man that only saw JSU as a stepping stool. So Coach Prime always said that his goal was to get to Division I, and he didn't want to be an assistant coach. JSU was where he went. Coach Prime at JSU was a mutually beneficial situation. $180 million in TV revenue, back-to-back championships, $30 million in economic activity for the city of Jackson, uniforms for the players, suits for the players, practice field. What else was Coach Prime supposed to do? What else does he have to do? Apparently, Mr. Phillips here must have lost the memo on all those accomplishments. He continues, Sanders wasn't a savior for HBCUs. He was the Pied Piper playing a hypnotizing song that put those who refused to educate themselves on his past into a trance. I guess if you support Coach Prime, you're uneducated. And for all the people who are still in denial about who Sanders was before he showed up and who he was during his short tenure at JSU and who he will always be, you are living in a fairy tale world. The salt coming from this guy. This isn't a situation in which Bob Iger has hired Tyler Perry to write the screenplay for a new Pixar film. This is real life, and you're being bamboozled by your unwillingness to admit that you believed in an egotistical clown. He calls Deion Sanders, prime time, an egotistical clown who sold out the culture. There's the sellout argument again. Shame, insult, guilt. It's all here. While he always understood that your inability to accept the facts would leave you in the middle of debates saying simplistic things like, but he got the program on ESPN as your only pitiful argument. So acknowledging the accomplishments of Coach Prime while he was there is a pitiful argument. This is easily, when I say Carron Phillips hates Deion Sanders, that's not just a clickbait tagline, guys. This is pure salt, emotion, frustration, all of it. Imagine him typing this on his keyboard, sweating, teeth grinding, just mad. He continues, the thing that made Sanders' time at JSU so fascinating was that too many believed that his antics and sound bites were helping HBCUs as a whole when they weren't. And yes, while more football games may have been aired on ESPN3 and money was donated, he's just going to gloss over that part. For the most part, those were all things that benefited Sanders, not HBCU across the board. How can he make that argument? He showed what the right leadership and the right moves at a HBCU can do at JSU. Other HBCUs just have to follow suit. He showed that it can be done. The article continues, has Tougaloo College Athletic Department's budget experienced a surplus that we haven't heard about because of Sanders? Or how about Fort Valley State University, Morehouse College, or any of the other 106 HBCUs across this nation that didn't have Sanders on payroll? Well, why don't they get more of people like Sanders on payroll? The answer is no. Sanders didn't care about making HBCUs better. He cared about making the one that paid him better until he could parlay that into a better opportunity for him and his sons at a PWI. Now, Bomani Jones on CNN, I covered what he had to say. And Bomani even said, Coach Sanders isn't doing what other coaches haven't done in the past. He literally said that. But Bomani Jones, like Mr. Phillips here, is trying to say that Deion Sanders shouldn't do what other coaches did because he shouldn't do it so because of the culture and the tradition of HBCUs. No. This is a blueprint that Coach Sanders followed. Like, I'm sorry. Culture, tradition doesn't pay bills. And for the students, culture and tradition doesn't get you an NFL contract either. We're one of the only communities, I'm not saying all the time, but too many times where our highly skilled are supposed to go, the best among us are supposed to go out, get highly valuable skills, knowledge, and then come back and work for free for the community. No, ain't happening. Those days are over. Sorry. It says, over the last few years, we've seen highly ranked recruits or celebrity athletes flirt with and embellish about doing it for the culture and wanting to change the game for HBCU athletics. He talks about Marker Maker's short-lived basketball stay, Master P's son, and then there's Mikey Williams, a four-star recruit who kept his name in the news by continuing to mention HBCUs until he signed with Memphis. That's just the game, you guys. Sorry. If the game is ever going to change for HBCU athletics, then it will happen by doing it the right way, which includes investing resources and giving exposure to these schools and their athletic programs so that they have all the tools necessary to recruit and retain 3, 4, and 5-star athletes. That's how you build and sustain programs that have proven that they can recruit top-tier talent and send kids to the pros. That's the blueprint, not quick fixes or flash-in-the-pan hires like Sanders, who are just buying their time until they can leave like a thief in the night. Like a thief in the night. Once again, Sanders was supposed to take $300,000 a year instead of the $5 million that University of Colorado is offering him. He's supposed to just work for free. Sanders is supposed to take everything that he built up in his football career, baseball career, all that, his image, his swag, his coaching ability, and work for free. No, those days are over, Mr. Phillips. But the one incident that will always define Sanders' legacy the most at JSU is when the man who always claimed that he cared about black people banned a black reporter, the JSU beat writer for the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, Mississippi, from covering his team. I had to look into that because I didn't catch that. Said the ban was allegedly lifted after discussions with others in the university's administration and never felt as if the air was really cleared, though. Marlon A. Walker told Deadspin Walker was the executive editor at the newspaper during the time of the incident. Sanders banned the reporter because he knew he was going to be asked some tough questions at the 2021 SWAC Media Day due to a report that came out earlier in the week detailing how one of his most coveted recruits was charged with assaulting a woman. Even after we changed reporters, it was difficult. Deion Sanders made it hard for all local news reporters to cover the football team, mostly because he preferred national press, which was no secret, Walker explained. And the sad part, I haven't done any research into that, but I will. I can only imagine if you had these local reporters asking questions that would have been, you finally get national exposure to JSU, and then you have local reporters bringing up crazy stuff and making your team look bad. I don't really have an opinion on that, so I'm not going to comment on it, but I'll do some research. Continues, in just 3 seasons at JSU, Sanders compiled a 26-5 record and brought attention to the program that hasn't been seen since the days of Walter Payton. His resume and coaching skills speak for themselves, but at what cost? Was the winning worth it? And I would say yes, it was, because the only reason why you're talking about JSU right now is because of Deion Sanders. JSU has a blueprint. They know that they can do it. They have a history, and they've shown their ability. Now just find someone who has the coach. They may not have the swag and the influence of Deion Sanders, but you can find a guy that has his coaching ability. Find a good coach and see what happens next season. In the coming days, Sanders will cherry pick the coaches and players he wants to take with him to Colorado, and that's his right. The majority of the players in that program will be forced to decide on whether or not they will stay and play for a coach they never signed up for or transfer elsewhere. The questions will loom for longer than the coming season. It's clear that until recently, Sanders never had a succession plan for how the program would run after he was gone. People who don't care about where they are because they're fixated on where they're trying to go next rarely lose sleep over what will happen after they're gone. That's why the players at JSU should be commended as they execute. Should be commended for the dominant 43-24 win over Southern University on Saturday night as they execute the game plan despite the heavy cloud that their coach brought over their stadium. Sanders' final game as a head coach of Jackson State will take place on Saturday, December 17th. Remember, this article is December 4th. The Tigers faced North Carolina Central in the Celebration Bowl for the Black National Championship in Atlanta. A scene played in last year's game. The braggadocious Sanders was humbled that day. He got obliterated 31-10 by South Carolina State University. The meek shall inherit the earth. Put in the comments what you think about Mr. Phillips here. And once again, we support Coach Prime over here. Anyone that doesn't support Coach Prime, it's just an emotional argument. If you just don't like him, just say you don't. If you think he's a sellout, just say it. Because that's all you got. Shame, insults, and guilting. We're better than that over here. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.